you don't need to leave your house to fight the winter blues. In Denmark, where daylight can disappear before 4 p.m. for months, almost none of the tools people use to stay steady through winter involve going anywhere at all. 8 specific, tiny habits, all indoors, all free, all doable tonight. And today I'm giving you every single one. Habit 5 is the one almost nobody expects, because it has nothing to do with light or warmth at all. It's about your hands, specifically, and why having something small to make or fix through the darkest months matters more than people realize. Stick around for that. Quick note before we start. What follows is built from real, documented Nordic winter practices, filtered through my own experience, my interpretation of it, for education and entertainment, not medical or psychological advice. If low mood tied to winter or season has been a genuine, ongoing struggle for you, please talk to a doctor. This video is meant to inform, not diagnose or treat anything. I'm Freya Holm, an interior designer from Copenhagen, and winter in my hometown meant leaving for school in the dark and coming home in the dark months at a time. None of these 8 habits were ever explained to me directly. They were just how a Danish home ran once the days got short. Here's the thread connecting all 8. Nowhere in this list will you find "just push through it." Danish winter habits don't fight the darkness head-on. They build small, repeated signals of warmth, rhythm, and connection into an ordinary day, so the season never gets the chance to quietly drain the whole year. If any of this is already reframing how you think about your own winter, go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you're new here. This channel exists to hand you the real system behind Nordic living, and it genuinely helps to have you here for the rest of it. Let's start with habit 1, the one every Danish home makes before anyone even feels the need to. Habit 1, swapping your main overhead light for warm, layered lamps the moment the days start shortening. If you've been sitting under the same bright, flat light in December that you use in June, I want you to know how common that is. Most people never think to change it, and then wonder why the evenings feel heavier without knowing why. Bright, cold light tells your body it's still daytime, right when everything outside the window is saying otherwise. The shift, a couple of small lamps, warm-toned, replacing the overhead light for the darkest months. It costs almost nothing, and it does more for how an evening actually feels than people expect. Habit 2, real lit candles, used as an ordinary light source, not saved for special occasions. If you've got a shelf of candles that never get lit, please hear this gently. An unlit candle isn't doing anything for you. Danish homes burn candles constantly through winter on completely ordinary evenings, because the point was never the object. It's the small, warm glow that tells your nervous system the day is winding down. The shift, light one tonight for no reason at all. Habit 3, fika, a Swedish tradition of a genuinely protected pause, usually with something warm to drink, ideally with someone else, even briefly. I know how easy it is in the hardest stretch of winter to let this kind of thing slide. You're tired. Everything feels like more effort than usual, and a 10-minute pause can feel like a luxury you don't have room for. I want to gently push back on that, because this is exactly the season fika was built for. It's not about the coffee. It's a scheduled, protected moment of actual connection, placed deliberately into a season that makes people want to disappear into themselves. The shift. One small, recurring pause. Phone down, ideally with someone else. Even a short phone call if in person isn't possible. Habit 4. Row. A specific kind of calm. Less about doing nothing and more about refusing to let the day start or end in a rush. If winter mornings feel especially hard to face, and evenings feel like they collapse straight into exhaustion with no gentle landing, that heaviness is real, and it's not a personal failure. It's what happens when a season already asking more of you gets zero buffer around it. The shift, even 5 unhurried minutes, morning or evening, doing genuinely nothing productive, protected on purpose. We're moving into something a little different now. The habits that have less to do with light and rhythm, and more to do with what your hands and your days actually have to hold on to through the darkest stretch. Habit 5, the one I promised, and it's genuinely one of the most overlooked pieces of Danish winter life. Something small to make or fix with your hands. Knitting, woodworking, mending, baking, it doesn't matter what, only that it's tactile, slow, and yours. If winter has left you feeling foggy, restless, or oddly disconnected from your own days, I want you to know that's an incredibly common feeling. Not a sign anything's wrong with you, specifically. There's something about slow, repetitive handwork that quietly settles a mind that's been running on alert all day, in a way that scrolling never quite manages to. The shift. Pick one small, low-stakes project. Nothing that has to be finished quickly, nothing that has to be good. Just something for your hands to do through the dark months. Habit 6. A small, recurring gathering, protected through the darkest weeks specifically. Not just whenever it happens to feel convenient. We've talked about this on this channel before, and it bears repeating, because isolation and low light genuinely compound each other. If you've noticed yourself wanting to cancel plans more than usual lately, please be gentle with yourself about that instinct. It's exactly what a hard season does. And it's also exactly why this habit matters most right now, even when it feels like the least appealing thing to do. The shift. One small, recurring gathering. Coffee, dinner, even a short weekly call, kept on the calendar specifically through winter. Habit 7. Deliberate time near a window during actual daylight hours, even if you never step outside. If your days feel like they blur together without much daylight in them at all, that's a real, physical thing happening, not just a mood. A few minutes sitting where daylight actually reaches your eyes, especially earlier in the day, does real work for your body's rhythm, even through glass. The shift. Move whatever you're doing, reading, a meal, a phone call, to a spot near a window for a few minutes each day. And habit 8. One small thing to genuinely look forward to, planned in advance, every single day. Not a big event. Something modest enough to survive being tired. A specific show, a call with a friend, a particular tea you like. If winter has started to feel like one long, undifferentiated stretch with nothing to distinguish one day from the next, that flatness is exhausting in a way that's hard to name, and it's completely understandable if you've been feeling it. The shift. Name one small thing before you go to sleep tonight that tomorrow will actually include. Something specifically yours. Here's everything together. warm layered light, a lit candle for no occasion, a protected pause with someone else, a few unhurried minutes without rushing, something slow for your hands, a small recurring gathering kept through the hardest weeks, real daylight near a window, and one small thing to look forward to each day. None of this requires leaving your home, and none of it requires more energy than you currently have to spare. If winter has genuinely been weighing on you this year, I want to say clearly, that's worth taking seriously. And these 8 habits are meant to support you through an ordinary hard season, not to replace real support. If what you're feeling runs deeper than that, if low mood tied to the season has felt persistent, overwhelming, or hard to shake regardless of what you try, please talk to a doctor. That matters more than any habit on this list. Tell me in the comments which of these 8 you're missing most right now. I read every single comment, and if you know someone who's been quietly struggling through the dark months, send this to them. Sometimes the smallest reminder that it's not just you is exactly what someone needs to hear. I want to address something directly because I think it matters more than any individual habit on this list. If you live alone, several of these, the fika, the small gathering, can feel like they're asking for something you don't currently have easy access to. And I don't want to gloss over how genuinely hard that can be, especially in winter, when the isolation a season like this creates can feel heavier precisely because there's no one else in the room to notice it happening. If that's your situation right now, please know that a phone call counts just as much as someone sitting across the table. A voice message to a friend, even a video call while you're both just quietly doing something else, still interrupts the isolation in a real way. The habit isn't about the specific form it takes. It's about refusing to let an entire day pass with zero genuine contact with another person, in whatever shape that's actually available to you. I also want to be honest about the handcraft habit, because I know suggesting a new hobby can sound tone deaf to someone who's already exhausted and doesn't have spare money for supplies or spare time to learn something new. This doesn't need to be knitting specifically, and it doesn't need to cost anything at all. Mending a button that's been loose for months. Reorganizing one small drawer slowly with actual attention instead of rushing through it. Even folding laundry deliberately, paying attention to the texture and the motion instead of doing it while distracted by something else. The mechanism isn't about the specific craft. It's about giving your hands something slow and repetitive to do. While your mind gets a break from the low hum of alertness, winter tends to keep switched on. If knitting or woodworking genuinely isn't accessible to you right now, any slow, repetitive, tactile task in your existing routine can serve the same function. I think it's also worth saying plainly, you don't need to do all 8 of these, and you definitely don't need to do them perfectly or every single day. If you're already exhausted just reading through this list, please don't add failing at winter habits to everything else you're carrying right now. Pick one. Just one. The one that felt easiest or most appealing as I described it. And let that be enough for this week. Danish winters weren't survived by anyone doing 8 things perfectly. They were survived by small, repeated, imperfect attempts at warmth and connection, stacked loosely across months with plenty of missed days in between that never undid the whole effort. I remember one particular February in Copenhagen, years into my career, where I genuinely couldn't muster the energy for most of what I'm describing to you now, I kept the lamp lit most evenings. That was, some weeks, the entire list I managed. I didn't fika regularly that month. I didn't take up a single new project with my hands. And I want to tell you that this was still enough, because a single small habit, held onto even loosely through a hard stretch, does more than an ambitious list abandoned entirely after day 3. The lamp mattered. It was allowed to be the only thing that did. If you're reading this and none of it feels remotely manageable right now, if getting through the basic shape of a day already takes everything you have, I want to gently say that's a sign worth taking seriously on its own, separate from any winter habit list. These 8 things are genuinely built for an ordinary hard season, the kind most of us move through every year to some degree. If what you're feeling is heavier than that, more persistent, harder to shake regardless of the season actually changing, please reach out to a doctor or someone you trust. That's not a failure to apply this list correctly. It's simply a different, more serious thing, and it deserves real support, not a video. For everyone else, in the middle of an ordinary hard winter, doing their best with limited energy, you don't need this to be impressive. You need it to be small enough to actually survive contact with a genuinely difficult week. 1 lamp, 1 phone call, 1 slow, repetitive task for your hands. That's allowed to be enough some weeks, and it usually is.